Well, hello there, YouTube, and welcome to Friday's edition of The Breakfast Club. Got that funk here. Thanks for joining me. I know I was supposed to be here yesterday, but I'm in the process of moving out of this room here, and in 2 weeks I'll be completely out and in my new home with my old roommates from last year. I'm getting the bedroom I was supposed to get when I moved into this place, but for personal reasons that never materialized, and so I've been living with this Chinese family for about 9 months now. But the room that I was going to be getting has now become available again, and I look forward to moving in with my previous roommates because we get along effortlessly, and it's much more sort of interesting lifestyle, because rather than living with a family, I'll be living with a group of musicians, and it's always nice because sometimes you'll be sitting in your room minding your own business, doing whatever, and wafting over the air will be random songs people are playing and singing, and I kind of like that atmosphere for a shared home. I'm a sucker for people singing and playing the guitar. So yeah, looking forward to that very much, and that's why I wasn't here yesterday. Last week I did try to make a video before I went, but I just ran out of time. I was off last weekend to Spain with my best friend. We had a fantastic time. We went to Magaluf on the island of Majorca, and I absolutely love Spain. I wish I had a flat there. Anyway, so that's why I've been away. Sorry to take so long telling you about that, but I felt it was important to justify my absence. Right. Anyway, this week I wanted to talk briefly about incels. Now, incels is a word that I've known about only for a very brief while, although the phenomenon it describes I've been aware of for quite some time. It just wasn't called that a few years ago, as far as I was aware. But involuntary celibates is what incels is short for, and it describes a apparently growing group of people who communicate with each other online, who are, by their own description, sad and lonely, and they think that the opposite sex owes them sexual gratification, and for that matter also companionship. And an awful lot of these people are what I would call textbook misogynists. I mean, it seems clear when you look into incels and with people who go for this whole forced loneliness concept. They're down on women completely. They undervalue women in the extreme, whether women are good looking or, by their perception, not good looking. They've always got something negative to say about that person. If they're too good looking, then they're stuck up or whatever, and if they're by their perception not good looking, then they shouldn't have any right to refuse someone's sex because who do you think you're kidding, you're ugly or whatever. And from my point of view, if you want someone to like you, especially in a romantic or sexual way, it's important to be likable. Yeah. And I can't comprehend how people who are so prejudiced against the opposite sex, who are heterosexual looking for a partnership in that direction, don't get the fact that they're the reason themselves, their attitude is exactly contributing to them being in the position that they're in. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure there's plenty of misogynists who do get into relationships and stuff with women. Obviously there are. However, these people's misogyny is so extreme, and they have obviously got some other personality characteristics which people just don't necessarily want to mingle with. And so, as much as my normal reaction is to be sympathetic towards someone who feels lonely, it really can be the case that you bring it on yourself, and I have little sympathy, if any, for these people who describe themselves as incels. A few years ago on YouTube, there was a group of guys called they called themselves True Forced Loneliness, and that was, I guess, before the term incels had really caught fire. Might have been 2009, those guys were making a lot of waves here on YouTube, and I never made a video response to them. My friend Vogter and others made responses to them. But this idea of forced loneliness, that basically, you know, you don't think of yourself as unlikable. You think of women as not granting you the pleasure of their company because women are bad people. But you don't look at yourself and think you're unlikable. I just find that remarkable. And are there more of these people now, or are just we more aware of it now because the internet gives these people a place to gather and share their thoughts and expand on their thoughts and whatever? I don't know. I don't like the idea because, you know, when this true forced loneliness guys were making their videos back in '09, some of them would say some pretty disturbing things, which to me was indicative of a probability, at least, that they might act violently against women. And there's already too much of that in the world as it is, and I just worry that you know, communication, in my opinion, is a good thing. And most things about the internet I like are the fact that people can meet from all over the world who wouldn't have a chance to meet, and it does give people a chance to, you know, who have things in common to you know, to group together and bond. And, you know, when that's things like, you know, cooking or you know, whatever, it's not really harmful. But when it's things like, you know, anorexia websites or these incel websites where people get together and reinforce one another's negative issues, I don't know what the best way to deal with that is. Can we deal with that? Because I'm a free speech absolutist in most respects, and I just feel that, you know, obviously they have the right to speak these opinions and whatever, and a place within which they feel safe to do that, I guess, is kind of important in its own right. But how do we know if and when the existence of such places causes people to come to harm, or directly contributes to someone coming to harm? And if that happens and we can demonstrate that it has happened, I say if we can demonstrate that has happened, then what do you do about it? It's a question I wanted to put out there for discussion, among others that you might have raised yourselves from my comments in this video. I look forward to hearing what people have to say, and I will be back again next Thursday. I'm pretty sure I'll have my shit together then for that. Tomorrow on The Breakfast Club, it's JJ Talk's turn. I look forward to seeing whatever she decides to talk about. And until next time, peace. Have a great weekend.